Joining us on the phones, GOP political strategist, co-founder of MustReadTexas.com, and now the executive vice chair of the Travis County Republican Party. Congratulations, Matt Mackowiak.
Hey, Chad. Thanks so much. Good morning.
Absolutely. Matt, a lot going on, obviously, over the weekend and probably this week with Donald Trump and the Trump transition team. The media, they've been kind of going crazy thinking that and reporting that Donald Trump is in a state of disarray and that the transition team is taking it slow. But it seems as though Donald Trump, when you actually look at the numbers, is doing pretty good as far as releasing cabinet picks.
Well, I think there's a couple things to understand, right? I mean, the first is that my understanding is the transition team effectively took the last 2 months off, right? There was not a lot of confidence early on there that Trump was going to win this election, and they wanted to take those good people and whatever resources they were putting towards that and put it towards trying to win the campaign. I mean, how important is it to have a good transition if you don't win the election? I mean, that's something that the Romney campaign understands better than most. So I think that's number one. Number two, you had a leadership change, right? You had Christie out and you had Pence in, and so that takes time. It's not just the person at the top of the organizational chart. It's also all the people they have with them. And one of the first things Pence did when he got in was he removed lobbyists from the transition effort. Everyone that comes in has to get an interim security clearance. That takes some time. So last week they lost a few days with some of those changes. But look, it's pretty clear that with tremendous focus and energy, they've been interviewing a lot of people over the last 3 or 4 days. I think Trump had 21 interviews over the weekend down at Bedminster, his club in New Jersey. So, look, they've made three sort of cabinet type level appointments, a couple senior staff appointments. I think this is a big week, even though it's a short week with Thanksgiving. To some extent, I feel like we're kind of on hold until he can make a decision about Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Treasury Secretary, those three, and maybe Homeland Security. Those four really are the next big ones that we want to hear from. It's possible if they can't get resolution before Thanksgiving on those big jobs, they may release some second-tier jobs. But generally, you need to figure out the ones that the bigger jobs first, because anyone that may be in the mix up there, then could slide, who doesn't get it, could slide down to something else. Governor Rick Perry is one example of that. He's interviewing with Trump today in New York, and so, he's interviewing reportedly for Defense Secretary, but also for Energy Secretary. So if he doesn't get defense, then he's available for energy. So that's kind of how this has to work. But look, they got a big week ahead of them, and I think we may know some more big names for big jobs this week.
Let's talk about Rick Perry real quick. Where do you think, and I think Veterans Affairs was maybe mentioned by one news outlet as well as a possible landing point, which makes sense to me. What is your feeling on Rick Perry? Where does he fit best, if anywhere, inside a Trump administration?
Yeah, so, look, there's it's important to understand that there's lots to consider for these different jobs, right? VA, I think, is the one where I think his passion and experience and relationships with active duty and retired military make a lot of sense. It's also an enormously challenging bureaucratic job, and it's honestly not, maybe not the most exciting department to run. But I think he would be very well suited for that particular job. I know there have been some other names. The House Veterans Committee Chairman Jeff Miller from Florida has been mentioned. There may be others as well. So that's one possibility. Energy would make a lot of sense given the importance of the energy industry of the state of Texas, and Governor Perry's knowledge of energy issues, I think, would be strong. Of course, he did have that unfortunate moment in the 2012 campaign when he couldn't remember the Energy Department being the third one that he wanted to eliminate. And so there's that sort of minor thing that they may have to deal with. Defense, to me, is more interesting. He was an Air Force pilot, obviously cares quite a bit about the military. I don't know whether that's a job that he's really in the mix for, or if that's just something that they're talking about. It looks like maybe General Mad Dog Mattis, a four-star Marine general who interviewed with Trump over the weekend, may be the leading candidate now that General Jack Keane has removed himself due to his wife's health. So, we'll see. Look, Perry was governor for 14 years of the state that is somewhere around the 10th largest economy in the world. He was a reliable Trump surrogate. He's an executive. I think he and Trump like each other and know each other well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up getting a cabinet job. I think now the question is which one, and is he definitely willing to accept? He has a new life now. out in the rural part of Texas with kind of the house they always wanted to build. He's got a pretty good life. And so to move to D.C. at this point is a pretty big sacrifice for 2 or 4 years. And so he's got to be willing to do that, and that's probably what they'll be discussing today.
Let's take a look at Secretary of State Mitt Romney, one of the unexpected meetings of 2016. Mitt Romney and Donald Trump coming together over the weekend. Some say it was maybe just advice. Others say that he really is in the mix for Secretary of State, along with Nikki Haley, Rudy Giuliani, and a few others. What do you think about this? What are you hearing? Do you really think that Mitt Romney and Donald Trump could do this?
Yeah, it's probably the single most fascinating part of this whole transition is this development and the fact that they met. They met for an hour with Governor Pence. They met privately without Pence for a few minutes at the end. Look, I think part of this is Trump needs Romney more than Romney needs Trump. He really needs a credible choice for Secretary of State. I think there are other credible choices out there. I think John Bolton is very credible, although I know that would be a big fight. Rand Paul said on Sunday he would not be willing to accept John Bolton for Secretary of State. With 52 votes, you need 50 with the vice president or 51 without to confirm a nominee. If you lose 2 or 3 Republicans, if the Democrats hold together, you can't get confirmed. So Romney's a credible choice. It wouldn't be a big fight on the Hill. It would be a real message to the establishment. He's obviously credible, knows the world, has traveled the world, and also I think would up the game in terms of the transition from the perspective of being able to persuade other high-level people to come into the cabinet. It would be a real sign of confidence if Romney could do this. So, look, he's a patriot. I don't think serving in Trump's cabinet is something he's dreamed of the last 4 years. But this is the world we live in now, and he realizes that Trump is going to have to be surrounded by good people to be a success. And for a lot of us, even some of us maybe that have had serious questions about Trump for much of last year, we all want him to succeed now because we want the country to succeed. And so if you care about the country, you've got to get on board and do everything you can to help. And I think that's where someone like Mitt Romney can come in. If he comes in as Secretary of State, maybe then you can get Mattis at Defense. Maybe then you can get Jamie Dimon or Steve Mnuchin or Jeb Hensarling at Treasury. You can get some serious high-level people, and that'll filter through to the second tier of cabinet jobs. The better the cabinet, the better Trump will do. And obviously the first 2 years are going to be crucial.
Mike McCaul, Representative Mike McCaul, do you see him going to Homeland Security?
So I've thought all along he was likely. The fact that I feel like his name has not been in the mix the last few days is a little bit worrying. There's another name that I think has been in the mix. I think it's a military name in the last couple of days that I've heard. He also interviewed Chris Kobach, the Kansas Secretary of State, an immigration hardliner. I don't know what he was interviewing for. So, part of this is, are they trying to package the national security appointments together? They obviously didn't do that with National Security Advisor and CIA, but maybe they're considering doing that for Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, and Homeland Security. I just don't know. Look, McCaul is instantly credible. He passed a bipartisan border security bill with Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar from South Texas this Congress. He was part of Trump's national security team. He was involved in debate prep. He's respected. He would not face much of a confirmation battle whatsoever, and I think it's a job he'd take. So I hope they're smart enough to choose him. I think he'd be an excellent choice. But, when it gets to the end and the president-elect has to make decisions, there's a lot of people, pitching different people, and so I don't know where it stands at the moment. I will be surprised if McCaul is not the choice because he makes so much sense from every different angle. Visiting
with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, finally, let's take a look at the Democrats. So many in the press, so many in the media, just about everywhere, expected for Republicans to be just a mess right now and for there to be a ton of infighting. It looks like, on paper at least for now, everyone is sort of getting along. Between Paul Ryan, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, even maybe Mitt Romney could be getting along. On the Democratic side, they're a mess. Do the Democrats even have a bench to look forward to? Who are the rising stars? What do they have to look forward to if you're a Democrat?
Yeah, I mean, their bench is unproven. It's not national. A lot of their bench players are not well known. If you look at the first tier of the Democratic Party, they're basically all 67 years or older, from Nancy Pelosi to Hillary Clinton to Elizabeth Warren to Bernie Sanders to Joe Biden. They're all 67 or older, which means they'd all be in their 70s. 4 years from now. And so, look, the Democratic Party faces a real challenge, and that is it's being sort of pulled in the direction of the left from Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. But how are they going to appeal to blue-collar white voters, the voters that ultimately decided this election and went in the direction of Trump, if they're going far left on lots of issues? So, look, anytime you're in the minority, Republicans know this from the last 8 years, you don't have one leader. It's a little bit messy. And that's where they are now, and that's where we were the last 8 years. But look, they have a DNC chair election. They have an upcoming House leader election, which I do believe Pelosi will win, which I saw the Republican House Campaign Committee endorsed Pelosi for Democratic leader because she's been so good to Republicans. But look, they face a wilderness period as well over the next 2 years, and obviously they want to stay united against Trump. But politically, it's dicey. I mean, you have 10 Democratic U.S. senators up in 2 years who are running from states that Trump won, 4 of which I think Trump won with over 60%. So at some point, there's sort of rats trying to get away from a sinking ship, and I think that's going to be one fascinating element to watch in the first 2 years of the Trump presidency is how long did Democrats stick with the, quote, National Democratic Party if Trump is popular in their states. You already saw Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, endorse Jeff Sessions for Attorney General.
Very interesting. Matt, tell folks what you're taking a look at this week for mustreadtexas.com.
Yeah, we have our morning email, which 4,000 people are subscribed to and read, where we kind of take all the news from around the state and put it in one place each morning by 9 a.m. You can sign up for that at mustreadtexas.com. Obviously, this morning we're reporting or we're linking to stories about the San Antonio police officer that was murdered on Sunday and what a tragedy that was. A lot of Texans in the mix in the Trump transition and the battle over ride sharing in the legislature. You can follow all the news and visit our website at mustreadtexas.com.
All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Same to you guys. Take care.
Thank you. That's Matt Mackowiak. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Mackowiak.